should.
Martin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we both have issues.
You can easily say that. If you should describe the satisfaction that you had when you stood up on the top of the mountain, how would you do that?
I missed the first part, I couldn't hear it.
If you should describe the satisfaction that you had when you stood on the top of the mountain, what?
Oh, how would I describe how I felt?
Exactly.
Well, after 10 hours and a half of walking, of course I was exhausted. But then someone handed me a satellite telephone, so I called my dad, and the phone didn't work. And I would try. Finally, I hear Dad say, "Lori, Lori!" And I'm yelling, "Dad, Dad, I made it!" I was so excited and crying, and he's all excited. And then he says, "Now we've got to get you down." so he was worried, but it was wonderful because this mountain was due to that man, and it was like we both made it, because it had been 16 years of thinking about it. So I was very excited. We made it together.
Next question. Oh yeah, the flag. There's a question here. The flag, is it still on the top of Mount Everest?
No. The flag that the World MS Day people gave to me, about a month after I returned home, I flew to London to the World MS Day headquarters, presented it to them, and they framed it and hung it up in their offices. But when I was in Spain speaking this spring, they surprised me and had another one made, and they had me sign it. It says, "Live your dreams one step at a time." And they had me sign it. So now there's one hanging in Spain also at the MS Society there. I wanted to keep it, but I was honored to give it back. But I cried. I cry easily. But it felt good to give it to where it should be.
Perhaps I must ask the next question.
Okay.
Now you have done all 7 summits. Does that mean that you have ended climbing, or could you imagine going back to any of the 7 summits which you've already climbed?
You know, going back to some of them, I would love to do, except the money, of course, because they're all expensive. So I don't mind going back, but I feel the thing that's most important to me now is not the physical climbing, but it's the sharing of the power, the feeling of climbing with other people who need to feel good about their lives again. Because I've had a lot of people in their 20s and 30s and 40s, I'm in my 50s, but call and say, "I just got diagnosed, I'm afraid, my life's over." And they have to realize that with or without your legs, your life is not over. You know, you're still beautiful people. Inside, your life is here. It's not what your legs can do, and that's what I'm helping to do with other people. So yes, I'd like to climb again because it's easier some days, but you know, for now I am looking forward to Kilimanjaro.
Any other questions? There should be thousands of questions to ask to Lori, but
The kids always say, "How do you go to the bathroom up there?" Would you like to know? Raise your hand if you'd like to know. Okay. I'll tell you. You can't see my clothes, but when I climb, on the bottom I wear down overalls, big overalls. Underneath the overalls I have 3 pairs of long johns. So 4 layers. Each layer has a zipper from here around. So you go zip, zip, 3, 4. But usually you're in your tent. So you have a water bottle and a little funnel that you hold. So it goes in the water bottle. If you have to poo, this big a Ziploc. Zip it up. But you share a tent with 2 other people, or 3 when you're up high, so it's not a glamorous sport.
And is the shower will wait till you come down again after 2 months?
Shower. At base camp, we had a shower tent set up, and once a week, you would sign your name and say, I want a shower. So the Sherpa people, the helpers, would get a bucket of warm water, they'd heat on the stove, they'd climb up the hill, put it in a bucket, and then you'd stand there. You could see them up there. And the hose would start, and you could shower, and then step out into the snow. So you dress in the shower, and then step out, but once a week. We smelled like the yaks. Yaks are like oxen, the big, yeah.
What do you eat while you're climbing? You must be eating many calories.
Yes, Eva. We had to eat lots and lots of food because on summit day alone, you would burn 15,000 calories. That's a week's worth of food, you know. So we would eat all day long. We would eat snack foods, energy bars, candy bars. On summit day, you had gel packages that you'd rip off and eat because it was too hard to chew. But in base camp, we had a cook, and we had all kinds of food. We had, you know, pizzas and yak meat and yak cheese and yak butter and breads and eggs. And so we had lots of really good food. The Nepalese cooks were very good, and they had a wooden stove. But it was hard. I lost 10 or 15 pounds. How many stones would that be? 2 stones? You don't use stones here. I don't know what you use, but kilos. Anyway, I don't know. But I lost a lot of weight, but some of the men lost about 30 pounds. That's a lot of weight. But then the minute you get off the mountain, you eat, eat, eat. And I should tell you about getting off the mountain. Remember I showed the map that showed us walking, and I said you walk 3 days to go home, to go back off the mountain? We had 19 people on our trip. 16 of them took a helicopter out because they had money. Another climber and myself and 1 guide, we walked 3 days out. But the rest of the people had to walk 1 day to get low enough because the helicopters can't fly that high. But then they took a helicopter and went home. So, but I think it was good to walk out.
We have a question down here.